A royal history moment that changed England forever. History never explained this. Why would the most powerful king in England be rejected not once, but 3 times after the death of the only queen who gave him an heir? After divorcing Catherine of Aragon and executing Anne Boleyn, Henry VIII's cruelty became known across Europe. By the time Jane Seymour died, no royal family wanted their daughter to become the next queen of England. King Henry VIII was one of the most powerful and feared rulers in European history. But after the tragic death of Jane Seymour, the King of England faced something no monarch expected: rejection. In this detailed historical documentary, we explore the real history behind 3 royal marriage proposals that were rejected after Jane Seymour's death. From the famous refusal by Christina of Denmark, Duchess of Milan, to the political rejection by Mary of Guise, and finally, Europe's silent refusal to risk another daughter's life, this story reveals the shocking truth behind Henry VIII's failed marriage negotiations. In history, a widowed king wasn't just lonely, he was seen as weak. A king without a wife meant risk to his power and danger to the dynasty. People questioned everything. Is he still strong? Is he still fertile? Can he keep the kingdom stable? That's why kings like Henry VIII remarried, even after having a son. In 1538, the first woman Henry pursued was Christina of Denmark, the young and beautiful Duchess of Milan. She was only 16 years old, a widow, and one of the most desirable royal women in Europe. Henry was interested. He sent his most famous painter, Hans Holbein, to create her portrait. When Henry saw the painting, he was pleased. Formal marriage negotiations began. Ambassadors were sent. Political alliances were discussed. But Christina knew Henry's history. She knew about Catherine of Aragon. She knew about Anne Boleyn's execution. She knew Jane Seymour died in childbirth. And when she was asked about marrying Henry VIII, Christina gave her answer. She said, "If I had 2 heads, one should be at the King's England's disposal." In simple words, she only had 1 head, and she wanted to keep it. Christina of Denmark refused. For the King of England, this was a shocking humiliation. Henry did not give up. In 1537 to 1538, the second woman was Mary of Guise, a tall, strong, intelligent noblewoman from one of France's most powerful families. Mary of Guise was already a widow and deeply respected across Europe. Henry showed personal interest in her. Marriage proposals were discussed through diplomats. But Mary of Guise also knew Henry's past. She knew how Catherine suffered. She knew Anne Boleyn lost her life. She knew Jane Seymour died giving Henry a son. Mary of Guise made her choice. Instead of Henry VIII, she married James V of Scotland. She became Queen of Scotland. This was not just a rejection. This was a public rejection in favor of another king. For Henry VIII, the insult was unbearable. After 2 humiliations, Henry tried again. In 1540, this time, Henry approached noble families connected to Princess Maria of Portugal. But something had changed. Negotiations were delayed, replies were slow, excuses were made. No royal family wanted to risk their daughter's life. Europe had decided, better no alliance than becoming Henry VIII's next wife. This silent refusal became Henry's 3rd rejection. 3 times rejected, 3 times humiliated. For any Tudor king, this was disastrous. Rejection meant loss of honor, loss of power, loss of respect. For Henry VIII, it was the price of his own cruelty. Only after these humiliations did Henry finally agree to a political marriage, Anne of Cleves, a marriage he later rejected himself. Henry VIII destroyed marriages for desire, executed queens for power, and in the end, no queen wanted him. History remembers Henry VIII not for love, but for 6 wives, broken trust, and the rare humiliation of a king who was rejected by Europe. Sometimes, even kings must face the consequences of their own actions.